In the depths of the internet, where fact and fiction intertwine, lies a tale that continues to shock the world. Even now, almost 10 years later, it is a crime that unlocked a new fear when internet fantasy become indecipherable from reality. This is a story of darkness and obsession, where the line between reality and imagination fades into a haunting abyss. Close your eyes and imagine this. It's the morning after a moonless night in Waukesha, Wisconsin. 3 teenage girls, fresh from a birthday sleepover, venture into the shadowy woods for a game of hide and seek. But a sinister figure lurks in the background, its dark presence growing with each passing moment. Within minutes, the once innocent game will take a chilling turn, and none of the trio will emerge from the woods unchanged. Everybody, and welcome back to Tell Me Darling. I'm Jess.
I'm Phil.
We are on episode 5.
Yep, 5.
Episode 5.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's been much improvement since episode 1, 2, 3. Technically, we launched this week.
Yes.
So the podcast is live.
Yep.
We've had feedback. We've had comments. We've had people tuning in, which is crazy. I keep looking at our podcast on Spotify thinking, like, this is crazy. Like, it's weird.
I haven't even looked at it. Are people listening on Spotify?
You've looked at it. Like, you've looked on Spotify up Tell Me Darling and
No.
had a look at our You told me this week that you listened to it.
Yeah, I started the YouTube,
Ah.
not the Spotify.
Well, that's why. Why are you not listening on Spotify so we get views,
I want to watch.
downloads? But yeah, people are listening. People
Cool.
are tuning in, which is cool.
They can't leave comments on Spotify, can they?
No, only on YouTube, I think.
Yeah.
I don't quote me on that. But yeah, definitely tuning in, follows, subscribers, all of that stuff is happening, which is exciting. It has been also a really good week. I got to watch one of my good friends give birth this week to a little baby girl, which was so cool. It's not the first time I've watched people give birth, because I used to do birth photography, and that was my purpose of being there, actually. She wanted me to take some photos, but when it push came to shove, I was not allowed to pick up my camera, and I had to stay right by her side, and I got to hold her leg and watch little Sophie come out, and it was the best thing ever. I loved it.
That's very special.
It was
That's
special.
Cool.
I wish there was like a way that I could just like nominate myself to just be at people's births and just like help
Just
them.
like
I think
a non-midwife.
I think that's called a doula. But I know I'm not good like that.
A birth support person.
Yeah, but like, I'm being selfish. Like, I just like to watch babies be born. I don't think I would actually be that helpful to like a stranger. Obviously, this was my friend.
Strangers, yeah, that's weird. Hey, let me help you get that baby out.
I'll be a midwife one day. That's on my bucket list, my dream, my goal list. I think when the kids are a bit older. Anyway, I think we've rambled. Have you got anything to share?
No, just another busy week, good week. Hopefully got the roof fixed that we mentioned last week. Fence is all done now. Mm-hmm. I'm building a back fence. I've ordered all the materials for that. Just finished editing a beautiful wedding film. And that's it. Oh, we're doing this on a different day. Today's Sunday. Normally we record on a Thursday.
That is true.
And today's Sunday morning. So, I don't know why to put that in there, but yeah, today it's Sunday.
Happy
Sunday.
Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
That's it, but I think we should get into it.
Oh, no, but wait. Wife of Crime shared my story this week.
No way.
Yeah, it was so exciting. Well, I love Wife of Crime. Obsessed.
Yeah, they're cool.
And they shared my story. So awesome.
That's Russ?
Well, it would definitely be Jess.
Well, you know what I mean, Russ and Jess.
But Russ and Jess, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Honestly,
cool.
I'm waiting for the day that they slide into my DMs and was like, let's be friends, because straight away I'm there. Yeah. Love them. Anyway.
That's really cool. I didn't know that.
You didn't see it?
Nah.
Oh. Oh, well.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I've blocked you.
You're not a true fan. Okay, so...
Tell me, darling.
I'm not ready yet.
Oh.
Kidding. So a few weeks ago, I don't know if you remember this, but there was a case up the Sunshine Coast, or an incident, where a girl was invited to a sleepover at her friend's house, and she ended up getting beaten and bashed for 4 hours by her supposed friends.
Wasn't that a couple of months ago?
A couple of months ago. What did I say? Weeks?
A couple of weeks.
Okay, sorry. But do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember it. It was terrible.
Very terrible and very gross and very scary as a parent. And luckily, the girl was okay.
Yeah.
And those other girls have been charged. I think they're still waiting for
Probably
a
just
sentence.
a slap on the wrist, which isn't fair.
Well, I hope not. I really hope not.
Yeah.
There was a lot of community uproar about that because
Yep.
it was wild. And also Sunshine Coast, that's 40 minutes from us, very close to home. Just not good. But it was what reminded me of this case that I'm going to tell you today. Okay. Very similar circumstances.
All right.
So, would you like to hear it?
Yes, please. Please tell me.
Please tell me, darling. Okay. Payton Isabella Leutner was born in 2002 in Waukesha, Wisconsin. So we're in the US. As a child, she was always known as Bella to her friends and her family. So I'm going to call her Bella in this story. Okay. She was the first born to her parents, and 2 years later, her younger brother Caden arrived in the little family, and their little family was complete. The Leutners were a perfectly average family. They lived in a comfortable home, and there was plenty of love to go around, and there was no indication of the darkness that would consume their seemingly idyllic lives. Together, they celebrated milestones and cherished family outings together, and as Bella blossomed into a bright and spirited young girl, her future seemed limitless. So, Bella's future seemed limitless. However, fate has a way of weaving unforeseen threads into the tapestry of our lives, and soon the Leutner family would find themselves thrust into a terrifying and unimaginable ordeal. Innocent young Bella was about to become the center of a crime so dark it would challenge the very notion of safety and trust. Bella was always known as a kind and considerate girl who was the first to help someone in need. She was deeply empathetic, and her bubbly nature meant she had no trouble making friends. It was this considerate nature which drew her to Morgan Geyser when the pair were in the 4th grade.
Is Morgan a guy or girl?
She's a girl.
Okay, Morgan is a girl.
Morgan Geyser was born on the 16th of May 2002, and she was always known as a bright and creative girl. Where Payton was bubbly and outgoing, Morgan was quieter and more reserved. It's often the case that opposites attract, and when Payton noticed that Morgan always sat alone during breaks and that she didn't seem to have any friends, she took it upon herself to talk to her. It only took that one interaction for Bella to decide that she really enjoyed Morgan's quiet sense of humor, and the pair quickly became friends. I just realised that I've been switching between Payton and Bella.
I was going to ask, so are we going by Payton or are we going by Bella? Because you're going to confuse me.
I'm going to go Payton because I've written Payton.
Okay.
But I can see that I've written Bella as well.
Oh my God.
I'm going to go with Bella.
Okay, Payton is Bella, Bella is Payton.
Yes, but I'm going to try and switch it to Bella.
All right.
Because that's what people call her, and I'm going to do it. So I'm really sorry. But if I slip up, you know.
Yeah.
So at school, the duo were inseparable, and during the weekends, they would regularly sleep over at each other's homes to play games and watch movies together.
How good were sleepovers as a kid?
So good.
Yeah.
It was a perfectly normal childhood friendship, and the two seemed to balance each other out. So where Bella was down to earth and grounded, Morgan was more whimsical, and she had a vivid imagination. She loved to draw and play make-believe, and when the two were together, they would role play for hours. Their curious inside jokes and late-night conversations, which stretched long into the early hours, seemed exactly as it should be. In fact, their parents agreed that they brought out the best in each other. The girls were more confident when they were together, and by the time they were finishing the 5th grade, there seemed to be nothing that could tear them apart.
How old were they now? In the 5th grade?
Oh. Yeah, so they're like 11, 12.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, best friends.
Yep.
Nothing could tear them apart. That was until Morgan met Anissa. So when Morgan and Bella started in the 6th grade, Anissa Weir moved into the apartment complex where Morgan lived with her family. Anissa Weir was a few months older than Morgan and Bella, having been born on the 10th of November 2001.
Oh, that's my birthday, not the year, of course. But
yeah.
I want to say, sounds like a good person because they've got a good birthday, but I have a bad feeling it's not going to be the case, is it?
Your feelings. Feel your feelings.
She's going to be a crazy Scorpio, isn't she?
A crazy Scorpio. Yeah. So she was a reserved girl with a wild imagination and love of all things fantasy and the supernatural.
Uh-oh.
Despite the 6-month age gap between them, Anissa and Morgan were in the same grade and rode the bus to school together every day.
6 months? What's that got to do with anything? 6 months age gap? Like in the same grade, you're pretty much the same age.
Just saying that they bonded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just random saying, like, they're the same age.
Yeah,
What's 6 months?
I don't know. Maybe it's because their schooling's different. I don't know.
All right.
So it wasn't long before Morgan and Anissa became friends.
Mm-hmm.
Naturally, Morgan wanted her best friend Bella to be friends with Anissa too.
Oh, Anissa didn't like Bella, did she?
Well, Bella wasn't so keen on Anissa, and she kind of had good reason.
Okay. She could just tell?
Well, where Bella and Morgan seemed to bring out the best in each other, the opposite was true about Anissa and Morgan. So from Bella's perspective, Anissa was cruel, and when Morgan wasn't around, she would often ignore Bella. Anissa made Bella the butt of nasty comments and mocking, and on top of that, Anissa was obsessed with the dark side of the internet.
Oh.
So where sleepovers had always been filled with innocent games and watching movies, Anissa always brought up disturbing online content which Bella didn't know how to process. Sometimes what she showed them both was downright scary, and when Bella would ask Anissa to turn it off, Morgan always defended her new friend and not the best friend that she'd always known for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Then Anissa would mock Bella for being a scaredy cat, and Morgan would join in on laughing at her. So they started to gang up on Bella a little bit.
Nasty.
It reminds me of our children. 3 is not always company. It always ends up being 2 against 1, doesn't it?
There's always fighting with 3.
Yeah.
But do you remember when you were a kid and when you first got, obviously would have had more access, the girls in the story, to internet at an earlier age. But do you remember when you first got internet, it was dial up?
Yeah.
Do you remember the first nastiest thing you ever seen online?
Oh.
What was that site? There was a site. It was a bad site.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I can't remember the site, but it just had some real messed up shit on it.
Well, that wasn't me.
Messed up. I don't know, but it was crazy.
All I did when I first got internet was MSN and play Sims. That was my life. MSN and Sims.
I had LimeWire and I was just downloading.
And LimeWire downloading. This is. Oh, what was it? What's the saying?
What the
LimeWire saying? When you download a song and then it's I
know, but it's bringing back. What's that? Nostalgia.
It's nostalgia.
Yeah, sitting down.
There's a little thing that would always play in the song.
Yeah. I know.
That's going to annoy me. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Or you download it and it would end up being what's that president? I did not sleep with that woman. Or I did. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I don't remember that.
What?
Well, it was like a saying on the song.
You'd think it was a song that you downloaded, and then when you finally download it, hit play, it's I did not sleep with that woman, or something like that. Anyway. So Bella also noticed other changes in Morgan after Anissa joined the group. She used to be bright and funny when they were together, but she started to become moody and withdrawn. Where she used to wear bright and colourful outfits, she started to prefer dark clothing, and she started to spend more time on the internet. Morgan had become more and more interested in the weird things Anissa showed her, and oftentimes Bella felt completely left out, even by Morgan. So Bella was a sweet girl. She wasn't interested in any of this dark stuff, and it scared her really. So Bella was so upset by Morgan's behavior that she mentioned to her mum how she was feeling, and she thought that Anissa might be jealous of her and Morgan's friendship. She wondered if maybe Anissa was trying to turn Morgan against her so that she could have her all to herself. But as it often is the case with girls that age, Bella was also worried that Morgan wouldn't want to be her friend anymore if she didn't agree to hang out with Anissa or include her in her sleepovers. So Bella really kind of swallowed her feelings and just bit her tongue because she didn't want to lose Morgan as a friend.
Yeah.
So there were a number of times where Bella considered ending the friendship with Morgan completely, but she always decided against it. Morgan was her best friend, and she hoped and prayed that she would get over Anissa eventually, and they would go back to being just the two of them like it used to be.
Cool.
So despite how Anissa made her feel, Bella made an effort to put up with how she was treated, and she continued to include her in her at school and out their weekend activities. She tried to put the weird way Anissa made her feel out of her mind and ignore her instincts. Deep down, she believed that if she didn't invite Anissa, then Morgan might not come either, and she would be completely alone.
Never ignore your instincts.
Well,
Ever.
she's 12, you know. So despite the tension from the outside looking in, things seemed completely normal between the trio. They hung out and did all the typical things that preteen girls do together, but unbeknownst to the onlookers and even the girls' parents, there was a dark undercurrent running through the relationship, and it was about to come into light in the most violent way. So, on the 31st of May, 2014, Morgan was celebrating her birthday, which was 2 weeks earlier. She planned her celebration to include her two best friends, Bella and Anissa.
Mm-hmm.
Together with her mum...
What was her birthday? How old, sorry?
They're 12.
12. So turning 12 or turning
Yeah,
13?
12.
Turning 12.
Yeah. So together with her mum, she arranged a fun day out for the girls with an afternoon of roller skating, followed by frozen yogurt and then a sleepover at her house. And they all look really happy, the pictures of them together, they're three best friends having the best day. After the excitement of skating and treats, the girls were understandably tired when they arrived back to Morgan's place, but exhaustion had never stopped them from at least trying to stay up all night in the past. Which is why Bella found it weird that Morgan and Anissa were so adamant that they all go to sleep early. Before she could object or ask them to watch a movie together, Anissa and Morgan were dressed in their PJs and getting to bed early. They both looked like they might fall asleep any minute, and so Bella joined her friends and curled up in bed, and within minutes all three girls were all sound asleep. So when Bella woke up the next morning, her two best friends weren't there. She crawled out of bed and headed downstairs, where she found them wide awake watching TV. They didn't give much of a reaction when she walked in, except to say that they had plans for the day and they seemed eager for her to join them in their activities. Bella couldn't remember them discussing what they were going to do that day, but she didn't want to upset Morgan for her birthday. So she went upstairs and she got dressed.
Mm-hmm.
So while Bella was upstairs, Morgan asked her mum if she and the other two girls could go to the park and play, and her mum, of course, said yes. When Bella came back down, Morgan and Anissa told her that they were all going to the park and then for a walk in the woods near the back of Morgan's home, and they're excited when they tell her this. And Bella thought, this was weird, it was Morgan's birthday, but of course she's going to go with them to the park and go for this stroll.
Yeah.
And along the way, Anissa told the others she needed to use the toilet and asked them to keep an eye out for her. But when Payton walked into the toilet block, Bella, good one. But when Bella walked into the toilet block, Anissa pushed her roughly into the concrete wall. Bella was momentarily stunned and she couldn't believe what had happened. Her head hurt and she was pissed off that Anissa thought that she could treat her so roughly and get away with it. And surely this proved to Morgan that Bella had known what Bella had known all along. Anissa was cruel and unkind and they shouldn't be friends with her.
Mm-hmm.
But when she told Morgan what had happened, her friend Morgan seemed to laugh it off. She said it was probably just a joke or Anissa trying to give her a fright. And while Bella was shocked at her friend's lack of concern, she also questioned herself. Maybe she was overreacting, and maybe it was just Anissa's idea of a funny joke, or maybe Anissa was trying to get her to end her friendship with Morgan so Anissa could have her all to herself. So when they left the toilet block, Bella decided she wasn't going to give Anissa the satisfaction of getting more upset or going home. She would be the best friend that Morgan had ever had, and she wouldn't let Anissa know that she had an effect on her. Mm-hmm. When Morgan and Anissa told her that they wanted to play hide and seek in the woods, Bella cheerfully agreed.
Sounds like a bad idea. All right, let me catch up. So, celebrating 12th birthday party at Morgan's house. Mm-hmm. Woke up the next morning, gone off to do their own thing, go to a park and go for a walk in the woods.
Yeah.
And Anissa has started to get aggressive towards Bella.
Yes.
Cool. Now they want to go play hide and seek in the woods. Mm-hmm. What type of woods is this? Is this like the woods, or is this just like a kind of like what we have?
Yeah, it's pretty much like what we have behind us, but bigger. So just, it's like not like...
Is it like a national, like You know how we got like that National Heritage Park up there?
There's it's just like a wooded area. It's just like trees and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not like a nice bushwalk.
All right.
There is like a little trail.
Because when I think of the woods, I think of like what's that Paranormal Activity movie? But it's not Paranormal Activity. The Blair Witch Project.
I mean, I guess it's like that, but there's like a pathway.
Yeah.
There is a dirt pathway, so it's like a trail.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So they're in there and they want to play hide and seek.
Playing hide and seek.
All right. Let's go.
So it was odd timing to play such a game, and it wasn't one that they usually played. In fact, Bella thought it was more of a kid's game more than anything, something her and her little brother would play. But Morgan and Anissa seemed overly enthusiastic about it, and Bella didn't want to be alone in the creepy woods.
Just a quick question. Well, that's on my mind.
Okay.
But this 2014, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they're 12.
Yeah.
Would they have had cell phones?
No. Well, their cell phones were around, but they didn't have cell phones.
Okay. Yeah.
No, they're 12.
Yeah, I was just thinking if like our kids, when they start going to sleepovers, like I'd want to give them a device where they could call me at any time.
Well, I can tell you now after this story, my children will not be going for a sleepover. But you know what? I do say that, but Morgan and Bella have been friends for 2 years. This is not their first sleepover. Their parents know each other.
Yeah.
Like they're friends. So, but still, I think you just don't know.
All right.
Okay. So Morgan and Anissa were very excited, and Bella didn't want to be alone in the woods. So she was like, okay, like I'll play, of course. So for the first round, Morgan ran off into the woods to count while Anissa and Bella waited for her to be out of sight before they found a hiding place. And unbeknownst to Bella, she was about to become entangled in a nightmarish game, and this time there was nowhere to hide. So when Morgan ran off into the woods under the guise of finding a place to count, Anissa told Bella, well, at first Anissa pulled Bella more into the woods, so they're off the pathway at this point. Yeah. And Anissa told Bella that the best way to hide was to use camouflage. So she told Bella to lie down on the ground and put sticks and leaves over you and lay flat. So Bella did, and she lay down on the ground, but the second that she had her back turned, Anissa pounced on her and got on top of her and held her down. She called out to Morgan, who appeared within moments. She obviously had never run off to hide. She was hiding behind a tree waiting for Anissa to pin Bella down. And then Morgan pulls out a knife out of her backpack. Morgan says to Anissa, I'm not doing it until you tell me to.
What the fuck?
Yeah, 12 years old.
This man, nasty bitches.
So Morgan, being Bella's best friend of 2 years, says, I'm not doing it until you tell me to. And Anissa says, go ballistic, go crazy. Morgan creeps down to Bella's ear and she says, I'm so sorry. And then she starts to stab her. So while Anissa held Payton down, Morgan stabbed her best friend repeatedly with a 5-inch or roughly 13 centimeter long blade over and over. When Morgan finally stopped, Bella says to the girls, I can't see. And then she says to Morgan, I hate you, which that's so upsetting.
Yeah.
Like, I just can't. She can't fathom what's happening right now. Like, her best friend is stabbing her. Like, I'm just like, what's going through her mind?
That'd be so scary as well.
So scary.
Okay. So does she...
So she says to Morgan, I hate you.
Mm-hmm.
And she tries to stand up. And Morgan and Anissa tell Bella to lay down and be quiet because you'll lose blood slower. And then they told her that they would go for help.
What? We've stabbed you, but we're going to go for help.
That's what they said.
Man.
But instead, they left the woods and they didn't go for help.
They left her for dead.
Fucking
hell.
So less than an hour later, Greg Feinberg was cycling in the area when he noticed something strange.
What's his last name?
Feinberg? Okay. Feinberg.
Yeah. All right.
He was cycling around the woods when he was cycling actually on a path that was chained off. So he went past the chain. So he shouldn't have, I don't think it was illegal, but you're not supposed to be there.
Yep.
But thank God he was, because he's seen the silhouette of a young person. And when he got closer, he realized that it was Bella lying on the ground.
Okay, he's seen her lying. She wasn't trying to walk away or get away at this stage?
She'd managed to get there.
Oh, okay.
She got up and she got there and she's barely there. So Bella had survived the attack, but only just. She had courageously made her way to the edge of the forest where she was found by Greg. By the time Greg saw her, she was completely covered in blood and barely able to stand. And despite the meters that separated them, Greg could tell that something was really wrong with her. So he immediately ran over to Bella and he called 911. And if you listen to the 911 call, he's like, I just come across this girl, like approximately 12 years old. And the operator's like, what's wrong? And he's like, I think she's been stabbed. And the operator's like, what? And he's like, stabbed. And he's like, stabbed. Like he couldn't believe like what he was hearing. So the paramedics arrived and rushed her to hospital. And by then, Bella had lost a lot of blood, like she was barely clinging to life. And yet, as the medical staff rolled her into the operating room, she managed to whisper to one of the officers accompanying her, Anissa and Morgan.
Yeah.
So the police were...
That's all, she just whispered their names?
Anissa and Morgan at first. So at first, the police were like, they thought that maybe Anissa and Morgan had been kidnapped or had been taken. Like they didn't realize that like, you know, they were the people that did this. So there was like a big hunt to find these girls. But then after speaking with Bella again before she went into surgery, she's like, no, Anissa and Morgan did this.
Yeah. Where did they stab her?
Everywhere.
Yeah.
All up her arms, all over her stomach, her chest.
And was it like proper stabs or was it just like scrap? Like
no,
just trying to
stab.
Like they were trying to kill her?
Yes, they were trying to kill her.
Damn.
Stabbed her. So the police were quickly informed about the violent stabbing, obviously, on Bella and that it was Morgan and Anissa, and the hunt was on to find them. So officers put out an all-points bulletin and described what little they knew about the girls and the area where Bella had been found by the cyclist. Searches started by heading into the woods at the same point Bella had stumbled out of less than an hour earlier. So this is happening really fast. Yeah. Like they're hitting the ground running.
Does Bella's parents know yet?
No. Well, she's in, like, they've just found her. They've rushed her to the hospital. Okay. She's straight into surgery. Like, they don't even know who she is.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, officers visited Morgan's home and spoke with her mother. They didn't let on the gruesome details of what had happened to Bella, but they made it clear that they needed to find Morgan urgently.
And Morgan hadn't come home at that stage?
No.
Okay.
So after more than an hour in the woods, they found no sign of the girls and the search spread further into the surrounding area. 5 hours after Bella was taken to the hospital in life-threatening condition, Anissa and Morgan were found sitting on the side of the I-94 freeway, almost 5 miles from where the attack had taken place.
Okay, so, yep, all right. They were just chilling, hanging out, just carrying on their day as normal? Or they weren't like trying to make an escape, were they?
I'll get to that.
All right.
Yeah,
okay.
But they'd been walking for 5 hours, basically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So not only were both girls unharmed, they seemed completely calm and unfazed. Officers immediately approached the girls and asked if they were okay. Anissa and Morgan told the officers that they were fine, better than fine, and the officers noted that they both actually seemed excited, that they were buzzing like something amazing just happened. The only thing out of place was the fact that Morgan appeared to have blood on her shirt. When an officer asked again if she was hurt, she said no. So he asked where the blood had come from. Her reply couldn't have been more chilling. She said, I was forced to stab my best friend.
What the hell? She just straight up said that?
Yeah.
Oh, like, did she say I was forced to stab my best friend out of like, so like, to like kind of like dob on Anissa to say like Anissa's made me do this, help me? Or?
No.
Or more like,
so
my best friend was crazy, I had to stab her.
I'll get to that again.
Man, I'm good.
I know.
Okay, yep.
So officers were at a loss to explain exactly what was going on. How could 12-year-old girls be responsible for a brutal stabbing? Yeah. They were taken to the local police station where their parents met them. When they were picked up, Morgan was carrying a bag. Inside it was a knife, granola bars, bottled water, and photos of their families. It looked like the girls were planning on going somewhere. Mm-hmm. But where? Where were they going? So meanwhile, Bella was undergoing a grueling and hopefully life-saving surgery. She had been stabbed at least 19 times. The wounds covered her entire body, including her liver, stomach, and diaphragm. And at least one of the wounds were mere millimeters away from a major artery in her heart. If it had been any closer, she would have bled out within moments. So the surgeon that worked on Bella actually said like a hairline, like a hair of thickness deeper, she wouldn't have made it.
That's insane how it can just be that one tiny bit is life or death.
Yep. So thankfully Bella's surgery was successful, and when she awoke 6 hours later, she was relieved to hear that Anissa and Morgan had been found by the police. Bit by bit, she revealed the horrific reality of what happened in the dark woods that day. So she survived, which is
thank you.
So good. Like, she's 12 years old. And also, like, I just I find it so crazy. Like, she's been stabbed nearly 19 times, or at least 19 times, and managed to get herself up and get out of those woods.
Get somewhere there where she could be found.
Imagine if she didn't.
Yeah.
We'd be telling such a different story right now. And also, like, imagine if that cyclist just didn't happen to go that way that day. Like, that was a chained off area. Like, it's just, thank God. Someone was definitely looking out for her that day. So Anissa and Morgan were also being questioned, and what officers heard from those two 12-year-old girls shocked even the hardened detectives, including those who had dealt with psychopaths and killers for years. During their separate police interviews, so they're in separate rooms, both Morgan and Anissa were calm, they were articulate and polite, and they didn't hold back when they were told the officers what had occurred that beautiful spring morning. So Morgan stated in a tone you might use to describe the morning's weather. Might as well just say it, we were trying to kill her. The admission was already incredibly disturbing, but it was quickly followed up by an even more unsettling revelation. They had been planning to kill their best friend for more than 5 months.
Far out.
So,
all right, what's the motive? Obviously, it was Anissa's idea.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I'll get to it.
Okay, all right.
So Morgan even commented, "You have no idea how difficult it was not to tell anyone. We would all be together. It was a flawless plan, actually. We used code words like for knife, we used cracker. We said for the killing, we would use words like itch." On top of that, the attack in the woods wasn't their first plan. It was their third plan.
They'd planned to try and do it in other spots, like other areas.
Yeah, so initially they planned to kill Bella during Morgan's birthday sleepover. So that's why they'd been so keen to go to bed early after skating. They'd planned to wait until she was asleep. Then they were going to cover her mouth with duct tape and then stab her to death. But when they went to bed, they realized, I'm a bit too tired, so we'll just wait till the morning.
Plus, if you're doing it in your own house, like you're easily going to get caught there.
They're 12 years old. They're not thinking about what they're doing. They're thinking about stabbing their friend. But like, too tired tonight. I'll wait till the morning. Like, it's just wild to me.
Yeah.
So the following morning, they got up early and went downstairs, as we know, to plan Bella's death. And that's when Anissa suggested knocking Bella out at the toilet block and killing her there.
That's why she tried to push her.
That's why she tried to push her. So she even reasoned that the toilet block was a perfect place because of the drain in the ground would wash the blood away. Like, it would just drip all down there and then there would be no blood. So again, it's just like the brain of a 12-year-old, really not thinking about what they're doing. So in her police interview, Anissa spoke in an emotionless voice when she said, "From what I read on the computer, it's easy to kill people when they're either asleep or unconscious, and it's also easier if you do not look them in the eyes. I kind of banged her head up against the concrete. However, when Anissa pushed Bella into the wall, she didn't fall over and she didn't pass out and they couldn't stab her. So that's why they moved to Plan C, a seemingly innocent game of hide and seek."
Fuck.
So Anissa...
What the fuck? Man, that's...
And it's, when you're watching the police interviews, it's like they're just having a conversation.
Man, I don't want to watch that shit. It makes me mad.
They're very, like, almost docile. Like,
you got to tell me what's going on with this and this chick. What's the backstory on her? Did we get to that?
Yes, dear. But yeah, when you watch the police interviews, it's just like they're just talking about their day at school. Like there's no emotion at all.
School say, oh, I killed my best friend.
Like that's their voice. Like it's so, I should play a clip. So Anissa later told officers their detailed plan and its tragic consequences. Morgan, this is what Anissa said. Morgan was going to hide one place and I was going to hide another, and then Morgan and I were going to be like lionesses charging down a zebra. I was going to tackle her and then Morgan was going to do the stabbing. So I started walking away, and then like when I was 5 feet away, I said, now. So that's what she said in the interview. Yeah. So that's when Morgan appeared and began to stab her best friend. When an officer asked Morgan what they did next, she replied, I already told you. Stab, 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 stab. It was weird. I felt no remorse. I thought I would. I actually felt nothing. We led her there and we tricked her. People who trust you become very gullible, and it was sort of sad. This is Morgan talking about her friend.
Her best friend, or supposed best friend.
So after stabbing Bella 19 times, Anissa told her they told Bella that they would go and get help, but they told officers that they had lied to Bella. We wanted her to die, she said. So even more disturbingly, during questioning, Morgan asked officers where Bella's body was. And she asked if she was dead. I was just wondering if she was dead. And like, that's her tone. She's kind of like, is she dead? I was just wondering.
Oh, man.
Yeah, her tone is like eerily. It's just scary. So she seemed disappointed to hear that Bella had survived, and she stated, the bad part of me wanted her to die, but the good part of me wanted her to live. Now, the officers knew how it happened, but they still didn't know why Anissa and Morgan wanted to kill their best friend in the first place. So how did we get here? How did two 12-year-old girls wake up one day and decide to kill their best friend?
Tell me, that's what I want to know.
Well, unbeknownst to Bella, her closest friends had been consumed by a twisted belief. They planned to kill her to appease the Slender Man. Have you heard of the Slender Man?
A Slender Man. I don't think I have heard of the Slender Man. But now I'm thinking about back to the start of the story, how this, what's her name? What's the crazy girl? Anissa? She's into, was it not horoscopes and stuff? What did you say she's into?
Like fantasy like
and
dark,
okay,
fiction, yeah.
All right.
Well, to understand the origin of the Slender Man and its relevance to this crime, you must first understand the internet of the 2000s. Long before Reddit, there was Creepypasta. So this is a website. So Creepypasta's wiki describes it as horror-related legends that have been copied and pasted around the internet. These internet entries are often brief, user-generated, paranormal stories intended to scare readers. They include gruesome tales of murder, suicide, and otherworldly occurrences. So users would find one creepy story and copy and paste the text onto other platforms they were using. In this way, the short stories would become consumed by millions of internet users without anyone really knowing where it had come from. Except with Slender Man, we actually can trace its origin back to the very day it was posted. So on the 10th of June 2009, so 5 years before, Eric Knudsen posted 2 Photoshop images for an online contest of the Something Awful website. There's no way he could have predicted the awful actions these images would prompt less than 5 years later. So the Slender Man was depicted as a supernatural being with a humanoid shape. He was described as being thin and much taller than the average human. So picture a human and then make him really skinny and really tall.
Slender Man.
His head and face had no features, and he wore a black suit, usually with like tentacles protruding from his back. So his head, like face, was white. It was almost like he had a bag over his head.
Really I've seen
tall.
this somewhere.
Yeah, and little tentacles that came out from his back. So whilst the pictures could be considered...
Stuff of nightmares, that's what that is.
Well, they call him like the modern day boogeyman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So whilst the pictures could be considered creepy, there was no question that the Slender Man character was entirely fictional. Initially, the pictures gained some traction as merely a dark meme, but after a while, internet users began to expand on the concept and create fan fiction based on the underlying character of Slender Man. Thousands of posts were written about his motives and backstory, and images of the character began to evolve. As time went on, the Slender Man was given supernatural abilities such as mind control and the power to destroy digital devices. Then he could teleport and put things on other people's minds, but the most disturbing changes were the way writers began to associate the Slender Man with children. So in stories and fan fiction about Slender Man, he is known targeting children by stalking. He's shown targeting children by stalking, abducting, and terrorizing them. His presence is said to cause amnesia, bouts of coughing, nosebleeds, and paranoia, and he is often visualized in forests or in the background of images with children. So within a year of those first pictures being posted, Slender Man had transitioned from internet fantasy into urban legend. But it was the attempted murder of Bella or Payton Leutner which brought Slender Man firmly into the realm of reality. So, how are you feeling about that?
Yeah, I think I understand.
You understand? Caught up. So, like, this creepypasta website just like
created Slender Man.
No, Eric created Slender Man
Okay.
and posted them on another website, but like creepypasta just like they took the concept of Slender Man and like kind of ran with it. So people like users were creating their own stories. It was all like fan fiction. Like people were making up their own stories. They were photoshopping like images of him into like forests or like behind children and photos.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. So officers involved in investigating Bella's attempted murder heard that Morgan and Anissa very much believed that the Slender Man was real.
Okay.
So Anissa's come across creepypasta, Slender Man, and she's 12 years old.
Yeah.
Like, why would she not believe that it's real?
And so how has that caused her to want to...
Okay. Well, Anissa, who had introduced Slender Man to her friends and who was the one that told Morgan about it, she also told Morgan that her family were in real danger if they didn't kill Bella. Morgan told the officers how Anissa told me we had to because she said that he would kill our families. A man. I didn't know him, but Anissa knew him. And Morgan told the officers that it was Anissa's idea to kill Bella, and just like Bella had suspected, Morgan had gone along with Anissa so that she didn't lose her friend. Or so she said.
Right. Hang on. I don't know if I'm jumping the gun here, but she's not like... It isn't like a chat site. Like there's not some creeper on the other end talking to Anissa saying, hey, you've got to kill one of your friends or Slender Man's going to get you.
No, it's like a forum website. Okay. So people are just posting stories.
Yep.
Like their interpretation of Slender Man and what they think. And so Anissa's obviously come across a story where someone's implied that Slender Man will kill your family.
Fuck.
And like she's just, you know what I mean? It's just a rabbit hole that she's fallen down and really taken it in. So Morgan said that I didn't really understand what we were doing, but I really didn't want to make Anissa mad. It's hard enough to make friends. I don't want to lose someone over something like this, which I hear that and I'm like, so instead of losing Anissa as a friend, you're like, I'll kill Bella and lose a friend.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
That is just dumb.
It is dumb. But again, 12.
Yeah.
You know, their brains are so like not there yet. So in her police interview, Anissa shared everything she knew about Slender Man. She said, he can be anywhere from 6 feet to 14 feet tall. He's, like I said, a tall guy who constantly wears a suit. He doesn't have a face. His skin is white. I actually thought that he was real because I saw him. We were like talking on the bus and I look out the window and I see this thing standing like this with tendrils. Looks exactly like a tree, there and gone like that. I was really scared knowing that Slender could easily kill my whole family in 3 seconds.
3 seconds?
3 seconds. 3 seconds. Yeah. So I read something about it, and it was like, if you don't know who Slender Man is, like you're fine. But the minute you know who Slender Man is, he knows who you are.
Oh, okay. Don't let him in.
But like, yeah. So if someone tells you and you learn about him, then he knows about you because you know about him now. Yeah. Which is scary. Yeah. Yeah. So the pair...
You ain't getting in here, Slender Man.
Well, you know about him now, so he knows about you.
No, get out.
So that's what I mean. She honestly believes that. So the pair also believed that Slender Man lived in the same woods where they had tried to kill Bella. They were convinced that by murdering Bella, they would become Slender Man's proxies and would therefore be protected from being hurt by him. So after killing Bella, they had planned to hike 200 miles to the mansion where he supposedly lived. And that's what they needed the supplies for. They didn't realize how far the woods were that they were heading towards. It's actually a 5-hour drive.
Wow.
And they were trying to walk.
Yeah.
But they walked 5 hours, which is a long time.
Yeah.
So throughout their police interviews, neither Anissa or Morgan showed any sign of remorse or regret for what they had done. They didn't blame each other, and when Morgan was asked what she thought would happen after killing Bella, she answered, "I figured that I'd get into trouble eventually, though, because Mummy always says that whatever you do catches up to you eventually," and it did. It was clear to investigators that both of the girls truly, deeply believed that they were acting to protect their families and themselves. Even Morgan's mother couldn't believe her daughter's lack of emotion, and she retold the grueling story of Bella's attack. Morgan's mum said it in an interview. She talks about it in a flat manner. That's odd for a 12-year-old sitting in a police station with a detective not to be frightened about what's going on.
Yeah.
And like, she wasn't. When you watch the interviews, like there's video footage of her like just dancing around the room when the detective's gone. Like, she just has no idea.
Yeah. That's just crazy. Did she obviously, is there something wrong with her to believe that? Or that's what happens when you're 12?
I'll get to that too.
Okay.
So Morgan was charged with attempted first-degree homicide, and Anissa was charged with attempted second-degree homicide. Despite their ages, they were tried as adults, in part due to the violent nature of the crime and the fact that they had spent months planning the attack.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing. It wasn't on a whim. This was premeditated.
So are they locked up?
Can I finish the story?
Yeah. I just want to know.
So it might have been easy to assign the girls a label of psychopaths or sociopaths, but in a court-ordered psychiatric evaluation, neither of them were found to be suffering from mental illness. So it was only after the charges and initial court appearances that Morgan's mother revealed that she had been worried about her daughter's lack of empathy since she was a little girl. She also shared how Morgan had experienced years of hallucinations, including seeing ghosts, melting walls, and ominous figures who told her to do things. After her arrest, correction officers noted that she talked to herself and had conversations with Slender Man-type characters and imaginary friends. By October 2014, Morgan was diagnosed with early onset childhood schizophrenia. She wasn't medicated and was found fit to stand trial.
Childhood schizophrenia.
Which I didn't write in the story, but I watched this little, it's like a little documentary on YouTube, and it was 6 months after the stabbing, and it followed the parents of Morgan and Anissa. It was really heartbreaking to watch, actually, because they genuinely were blindsided by this. They really didn't ever see this coming.
So parents didn't notice anything at all until...
No. They knew, Anissa's parents knew that she liked kind of,
Weird shit.
Creepy, dark stuff.
Yeah.
But, our eldest child, he likes to watch, those hide-and-seek games in the woods, and it's at night and it's scary. He gets a little buzz out of it. And, so it just felt normal. You're looking at me smiling. Why are you looking at me? He's not allowed to watch YouTube anymore, though. But, it wasn't... She wasn't watching weird stuff in the sense that, she wasn't, Googling, how to murder someone or, how to get away with murder.
She did, didn't she? Because you said before she was looking up on the internet, said it's easy to kill someone by either you kill them while they're sleeping or kill them while they're... So she's looked it up before.
Yeah.
So...
Okay. You've caught me in a lie.
Yeah.
No, but, they didn't mention that in the interview. And I don't know that they were going through her internet history in such detail. I think it was kind of open it. He said open the door. What are you doing? What are you watching? Cool. Shut the door.
Yeah.
Because they're 12 years old. You'd never think that your 12-year-old daughter would do something like this, and they weren't showing any signs. Anyway, back to my point. Morgan's dad actually has schizophrenia.
Oh.
But he's on medication.
Yeah.
And in most cases, as long as it's monitored and medicated, you're fine. And he said, it's only when you get to a point where you, don't think that you need medication and you're not listening to other people where it gets scary. And so, obviously, Morgan has never been diagnosed. They never thought that this would happen to her.
Okay.
But also, her mum and her dad are separated. So I don't know if that,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
it's hard to tell. But anyway, he is so heartbroken in this interview because I think he blames himself a little bit.
Yeah, because so is it hereditary?
I can't answer that. I don't know. But possibly, maybe that's why he feels bad. I'm just saying, like, I actually don't know the answer to that. So anyway, okay. So in 2017, Anissa pleaded guilty to being part of an attempted second-degree homicide. Despite the plea, she was found not guilty by mental disease or defect. She was sentenced to 25 years to life in a mental institution. Basically, this sentence involves at least 3 years locked in confinement and involuntary treatment in a state psychiatric institute. It also means that even if she is released, she will be under communal supervision until the age of 37. In 2021, she became eligible for conditional release. She submitted a letter to the court where she stated that she had exhausted all treatment options and felt it was the right time to rejoin society.
No way, it hasn't even been 10 years.
She also stated that she was sorry and deeply regretful for the agony, pain, and fear that I have caused, not just to Bella, but to my community as well. I hate my actions from May 31st, 2014, but through countless hours of therapy, I no longer hate myself for them. Prosecutors objected to her release and stated she was still dangerous and that she would have a hard time making friends, which would likely mean that she would associate with mentally disturbed people.
Yeah.
Anissa's history with Morgan led prosecutors to believe that this would make them vulnerable to Anissa exploiting them to hurt others on her behalf, which is what they believe happened with Morgan and Bella. Despite the objections, the judge sided with Anissa, and in September 2021, she was released from the mental health institute where she had been confined. She lives with her father and remains under 24-hour GPS monitoring. Anissa is not allowed to leave Waukesha County without permission, and she is required to attend regular counseling sessions. Importantly, she is also not allowed to use social media, and her internet use is routinely monitored.
Whoa.
So she's out.
But can't leave her area that she lives 24/7.
She's got an ankle
surveillance.
bracelet. Yeah.
Whoa, that's hard, you know, like
So hard.
yeah, she tried to kill someone, but if she had this, I don't know, I can't be.
It's so hard because,
It's hard,
like,
yeah,
imagine if you're Payton's parents, right? Like, imagine we've got a daughter. Imagine that happened to her at a sleepover. You would want blood. You would absolutely want blood. You would never want those girls to walk free.
Okay. And
But
what
on
about
the other side of that, imagine being those girls' parents.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's difficult.
It's so hard. It's so
Okay.
hard.
What about Morgan?
So Morgan's role in the stabbing of her best friend, she accepted a plea deal, which meant she admitted guilt, but was also found not guilty by mental disease or defect. Morgan was sentenced to 40 years to life, which is similar to Anissa's sentence, except she is required to remain in treatment until she's completely free of symptoms or until she's 53 years old, whichever happens first. If she is released prior to the age of 53, she will remain under supervision for as long as needed until her sentence expires. She is able to petition for release from the mental health facility where she is confined, but even if she is released, the supervision component of her sentence will remain in place.
Yeah.
So in 2020, she petitioned to be retired as a juvenile, but her request was denied. So she's still in jail.
Yeah. So it's not jail. Is it a mental ward?
Mental, sorry.
Yeah, still
yes.
jail, but
she's still
locked
locked up. Is
in
one,
the
yeah, sorry. So in the wake of Bella's attempted murder, the internet and mainstream media came to life with people seeking to assign blame for the crime. They pointed the finger at the internet, at the poor parenting, and even blamed Eric, the original creator of Slender Man.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. What happened to does he get any backlash? Does he get any criminal, like, is he charged in any way?
No, not at all. It's not his fault.
He just
all he did was create an image of Slender Man. He uploaded 2 images to the website for a competition. So he didn't write the backstory,
he didn't write any of the story.
No, someone else took it put it on creepypasta website, and they ran with it.
Yeah.
They created the origin of Slender Man. So he didn't do anything. He just drew.
Weir.
But obviously he's still, you know. When the news of the attack broke, Eric commented, "I'm deeply saddened by the tragedy in Wisconsin, and my heart goes out to the families of those affected by this terrible act." So I'm sure there's some, you know, he feels a bit of guilt.
Yeah,
it's
that sucks.
But it's not his fault at all. And I hope that people don't blame him. So Creepypasta, which is the website, was called to account for the content posted on the site, but users were really quick to come to its defense. They asserted that they didn't condone violence of any kind and that the content posted on the site is purely for entertainment purposes. 2 weeks after the attack, administrators of the site held a live stream to raise money for Bella's recovery. So Bella remained in hospital for 7 days after her surgery, and she was able to return to school in September 2014, 3 months after the attack, which almost ended her life. It was 5 years before she spoke publicly about the incident. Her take on the whole situation demonstrates an extraordinary resilience and provides an insight into her remarkable maturity. Bella.
Yes.
Bella's journey of recovery and healing was marked by immense strength and courage. Despite enduring a traumatic event that could have left her shattered, she chose to embrace life with a newfound perspective. In her public statements, Bella expressed a remarkable level of empathy and understanding. Rather than harboring bitterness or seeking vengeance against her attackers, she emphasized the importance of compassion and forgiveness. She said, "I feel like it's time for people to see my side rather than everyone else's." When asked if she would tell her once best friend if she ever came face to face with her again, what she would tell her friend, Bella surprised even herself with what she answered. She said, "I would probably initially thank her. Just because of what she did, I have the life I have now. I really, really like it, and I have a plan. I didn't have a plan when I was 12, and now I do because of everything I went through. I wouldn't think that someone who went through what I did would ever say that, but that's truly how I feel. Without the whole situation, I wouldn't be who I am. I've come to accept all of the scars that I have. It's just a part of me. I don't think much of them. They will probably go away eventually and fade."
Wow.
Oh, that made me teary.
Yeah.
She's so strong. So despite her admirable ability to move on from the attack, it has left scars far deeper than purely physical. In the immediate aftermath, Bella struggled to trust her friends and even her family. As a way to protect herself, she kept everyone's at an arm's length, and it was only through the passage of time and professional help that she was able to build trusting relationships with those around her. But one fear still remains, and to this day, Payton, Bella, still sleeps with a pair of broken scissors underneath her pillow, just in case.
Pair of broken, just one scissor blade too. Yeah, it's crazy, hey. I guess you got to stay ready with the scissors.
But
you shouldn't have to.
She shouldn't have to feel like that, even to this day.
So how old is she now? How old is she? She'd be in 2000. They were 12 in 2014.
So 21. They're 21 now.
Yeah.
Still so young.
Yeah, that's it. Still so young. Heaps of time to recover emotionally and mentally still. But that's hectic. I'm glad she survived.
Yeah, me too.
So, no more sleepovers. No more. Their kids don't have sleepovers, but that's I'm going to sleepovers. That's what I'm doing. I'm going with the kids. I'm gonna be at the sleepover.
Yeah, it's definitely made me rethink sleepovers.
Okay, so that's just, it's crazy. The whole story's crazy. I'm still trying to get my head around a combination of a character that some guy created, then gets twisted into some other story or context around the picture of that character.
Yeah.
A schizophrenic girl happens to find it.
No, Anissa wasn't schizophrenic. Morgan was, which is why I think she was so susceptible.
Oh, hang on, which one was schizophrenic?
Morgan.
Oh, I thought Anissa was the one.
No, Anissa was just loved fantasy, and she was just 12 years old, so she read it and she believed it.
I thought Morgan was the
one.
No,
Morgan was schizophrenic, which I thought
this Anissa was just the crazy one that had just come in, the schizophrenic one, and she'd orchestrated and planned the whole thing, and then, wow.
No, it was Morgan who was schizophrenic, which is, I think, why she was so susceptible to Anissa's plan, you know. She was untreated. Her mum says, like, she didn't have much empathy. Like, she couldn't.
But yeah.
Like, there was one thing I watched, because this documentary's on YouTube. Like, it's, if you want to just kind of see, like, the backstory of Morgan and Anissa and who they were and their families. Like, she would watch movies with her mother, and, like, they watched Bambi one day, and, like, when the mum gets shot, she was just like, well, why did she get shot? Like, she's just left her baby, and was, like, almost mad at the mum, like, not sympathetic.
It is what it is.
It's not what it is. Shut your mouth. Oh my God. But it's just, this story's just really sad, because it's like, I feel for obviously Bella, and I feel for her mother. I couldn't imagine receiving that phone call, but I really feel for Morgan and Anissa's parents, because they're genuinely heartbroken about this whole thing.
Yeah.
Or they were, because I keep thinking, watching the video where it just happened. Like, yeah, their dads are in tears. Like,
it's just a mess. The whole thing's a mess.
Yeah. Well, that was today's case.
A wild one.
It was wild, but also sad. But I'm really glad that Bella's in a good place now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget to like.
Just do all the things.
Yeah.
Just do all the things. We'll wrap it up.
And leave nice comments, or I will find you.
Oh my God, stop. Stop. End it. Say goodbye.
See you later. Tell me next week.
Bye, darlings.